Welcome to my first video on this channel, and if you want to get an idea on the kind of content I'm going to be posting on here, feel free to check the About section. Today is going to be a more serious video compared to the videos I plan to release in the future, since today would have been Kobe Bryant's 43rd birthday, and I want to pay a tribute to him. I started watching basketball late 2007 about, and then started playing the game in 2008. And that was the season when the Celtics won their most recent championship. And one person that I really disliked was Kobe Bryant. He would always be in the way, especially during those first 3 years of the Big Three era with Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, and Ray Allen. They were victorious in 2008, but every other year after, Kobe would just keep on giving them L's. Regular season, I took regular season so seriously, and I was so triggered when the Celtics got swept in the regular season by the Lakers in 2009. That got me so upset. And then 2010, it's got to be the most heartbreaking loss I've ever seen from any Boston sports team since I've started watching sports, which was around the same time that I started watching basketball and then playing basketball. Most heartbreaking loss by far, because the Celtics were up 3-2 in that series, had 2 chances to win 1 game, and weren't able to do it. They fell short. So, I didn't start having respect for Kobe until high school. And this was 2013, my first year of high school. And it all started when I was playing against these guys. And I was really into playing basketball at that time. I mean, I still love the game, but I don't play as much. It's more me playing 2K. But I would practically be playing basketball almost every day at that time. And this was after the high school basketball season ended, because I had varsity dreams at that time. I was on the freshman team, but I had bigger visions. And I was playing this game. If you don't know what 50 is, it's basically a more complicated version of 21. And this guy was at least 6 feet, maybe even more. He was smothering me defensively. And I had to just shoot it up, because in 50 or 21, whatever game you prefer, it's every man for themselves. So, you can't pass it off to a guy. You have to shoot it at some point. And I did, and I made several shots against this guy. And there was this other guy in his circle. And it's ironic because his hairstyle looked similar to what Robin Lopez has had. And I think he was the guy that donned the nickname Kobe on me. And it started to spread on through their circle. And these other guys I would start playing with, that's the ironic thing about it. I never really saw the guy I hit that shot over, hit several shots, tough shots over after that day. But I would see other friends in his circle, and I would see those guys a lot when I was out on the court. And they would refer to me as Kobe. So that's when I started gaining respect for him. And I know that them calling me that wasn't from them thinking, this kid's gonna be the next coming of Kobe Bryant. It was them thinking, the way he was hitting those shots, though, was reminiscent of Kobe. And since we're on the topic of tough shots, I didn't mention this at the beginning with Kobe giving L's to my Celtics. I had the privilege of going to a Celtics and Lakers game when Kobe, you could argue with it if that was his prime or not, but this was 2010. But Kobe, when he was still playing at an elite level, this was the regular season, 2010. And you know what he did? What a lot of people know him for, being clutch and hitting the shot. And that's what he did at the game I went to with my dad. Those were the best seats I've ever had for a Celtics game on top of that. And I got to see Kobe hit the game-winning shot against the Celtics. At the time, I was salty. My least favorite player at that time hits the game-winning shot over my favorite team. Are you kidding me? But now, as I'm older, I have a lot of appreciation for that. Because I saw one of the greatest in the game do what he does best. And as the years went by in high school, started gaining more and more respect for Kobe. And it all started because of those guys that gave me that nickname. And this was a junior year. I took this class called sports writing, and we would write. It was not something that would go on school newspaper or anything like that, but it was more so we would get graded. That was how we got graded. And we would write articles related to professional sports. And I remember the first day that we had that class, there was a piece of paper we had to write stuff like, oh, who's your favorite athlete? Who's your favorite sports team? Stuff like that. And I wrote Kobe Bryant. It was unfortunate that Kobe, when I started to gain respect for the man, that's when he started to get injured. That was the same year when those guys gave me that nickname, Kobe. That was the same season when Kobe really had his last year of elite basketball. He tore his ACL, he tore his Achilles. And he never was really the same after that. And he would get injured constantly. 2014, after coming back from that Achilles injury, he only plays, 6 games that year? And then he gets another season-ending injury. And then 2015, he plays 20-plus games. And then he gets a season-ending injury then. And then, Kobe knows that I've been dealing with all of these injuries. I'm not the same guy that I was years ago. And he called it quits after 2016. But that's unheard of. What he did in his last game, the man was struggling with all of these injuries during the last years of his career. But he pulled up 60? That's crazy. It really shows you the will and determination this man had. As you could see during the last minutes how gassed he was, but he just kept going. And that's the thing I think many of us, including me, respected about Kobe. The fact that he was going to find a way to get what he wants on the basketball court. And that's what made him so legendary. His work ethic. If guys had the work ethic that he had, they'd be doing so much better. Someone such as Andrew Bynum, I bring him up because he was a teammate of Kobe, and he never lived up to his potential fully. He had spurts where he would show it, but he never lived up to it. He never really took the game basketball as seriously as he should have during his career. If he had Kobe's mentality, he would have been, I would say, possibly even a Hall of Famer. But that's not what happened with Andrew Bynum. And now, to his untimely death. When you're a basketball fan such as myself, that's the kind of thing that you remember where you're at when you heard the news. And me, I was hanging out with a friend that day. My mom calls me. I'm not sure she called me for additional reasons. It might have been, I think that it really shows you how much impact, how much of a legacy that this man has. I don't remember fully if that was the only reason why she called me or if it was for something else as well. But I got a call from my mom. It was a missed call. I saw that I got a missed call from her. I called her back and then she told me the news. She said, Kobe Bryant died. And it was just a stunned reaction. It wasn't how Shaq was describing it when they were on Inside the NBA and they were talking about their perspective of every one of the guys from Ernie to Kenny, Charles, and then the guests that were on there like Jerry West, that Inside the NBA show they did after Kobe died. I didn't have a reaction like Shaq, oh, this got to be fake news, but my mom, if she's telling me that, I know it's true. Because she's not going on social media where you got some of these trolls with their lame attempts at getting clout saying, this guy died. You know it was legitimate because she probably heard it from the radio or she heard it on an actual reliable news source. And my friend, he is not a big basketball fan. He doesn't really follow the NBA that much. He has a little interest in it. He has a casual interest in it, I would say at best. And Kobe it shows you again the legacy that Kobe has. If you were to ask somebody, name some NBA players for me, someone that has the knowledge level about the same as my friend that I was hanging out with, Kobe will be probably one of the names they actually know. So I was telling them what my mom said. I was saying, Kobe, the basketball player? I said, yeah. He said, no way. And then he looks it up. Something I'm positive a lot of people did when they first heard the news. If they saw it on social media, they're thinking, no way, I gotta check it out on TMZ or whatever their reliable news source is. They feel is the reliable news source. That's kind of crazy that TMZ is kind of viewed in that. But aside from that, and he was stunned too. And I was just thinking about that a lot the rest of the day. And even We were watching something that was unrelated to Kobe. We were watching a Cody Cole video a couple hours later. And there was a reference to a helicopter. And even then, just that reference to the helicopter made me think of Kobe. Because that's how it ended. A helicopter crash. It's crazy. 10 years prior, I was watching this man hit the game-winning shot against my favorite team. And that was almost. It was just 4 days off from exactly being 10 years when he died. Because that game that I watched in 2010 was January 30th. The day he died was January 26th. Really goes to show you how unpredictable life is. You go from seeing the man hit a game-winning shot and then 10 years later he's gone. Wow. Yeah. Kobe will never be forgotten. He's always going to be part of NBA history, and 20 years, 30 years even after he dies, people are still going to use them as a motivation factor, someone they can listen to, because the Mamba mentality is a big mantra, especially when it comes to being persistent, never giving up, all that. And I want to take this time, since people don't really mention about the other people that died during that crash. When people talk about the crash, they'll normally say Kobe Bryant and daughter Gianna along with 7 others. I'm going to be mentioning the 7 others in this, since I feel they don't get mentioned enough. Their names specifically. And there were several young people that died from that crash. And apologies if I butcher anybody's name that I say right now. So it goes Alyssa Altobelli, 14 years old. John Altobelli, her father, 56 years old. Carrie Altobelli, the mother, 46 years old. So you got another family. You got a whole family that died from this as well. I'm not sure if Alyssa was their only child, but you had a pair of parents and their child that died. Peyton Chester, 13 years old. Sarah Chester, the mother, 45. Christina Mauser, the assistant coach for Kobe, 38. The pilot, Ara Zobayan, 50. And then lastly, Gianna Bryant, Kobe's daughter, 13 years old, and Kobe Bryant, 41 years old. So, condolences to all of the 9 victims from that tragedy. And to close off this video, we're going to have a 9-second moment of silence representing for each person that passed away in that crash.